Phoenix Suns are at the Hawks tonight looking for a 12th straight win, and they remain on top of our NBA power rankings on CBSSports.com. They've already had an 18-game winning streak this season. And right now they have a 3-game lead on the Warriors for the best record in the NBA. Golden State has won 7 straight themselves. So those two teams, Suns, Warriors, 1-2 respectively in our power rankings put together by Colin Ward-Henninger. The Heat and Cavs, big fallers, both falling out of the top 5. Heat down 4-7, Cavs down 6-8. Let's run the 3-man weave. Colin Ward-Henninger and Rip Hamilton joining us now. And Colin, I was reading your article on CBSSports.com. You likened the Suns to that annoying nerd in 10th grade algebra. How so?
Look, I don't think I used the word nerd. I think I carefully stayed away from that. But I actually taught 10th graders. I don't know if you know this, Chris. Right out of journalism school, I didn't teach math because I don't know anything about math. But I gave a test. One of the first tests I gave, almost everybody failed except for one kid. He got a 95%. So whenever the kids came to me and said, hey, this test wasn't fair, I said, look, Ethan got a 95. The parents wrote me emails. I said, look, Ethan got a 95. That is the Phoenix Suns right now. They're third in offense, second in defense, all the excuses. Hey, look, we've had guys out with COVID. It doesn't matter. Look at what the Suns are doing. We've had injuries. It doesn't matter. Look at what the Suns are doing. They've had DeAndre Ayton out for half of the games this season. Chris Paul is shooting a career low from three-point range. He's averaging a career low in points. It doesn't matter. They plug and play. All the credit goes to Monty Williams. I mean, this is a team that shows up every single night. They've taken guys off of the scrap heap like Bismack Biyombo, turned him into a functioning backup NBA center. When all these guys are healthy, this team is just head and shoulders above the rest of the league, in my opinion, in terms of how they're performing. And they have absolutely put to rest any doubts that last year was a fluke with them making it to the finals. They look like the class of the NBA right now, and they are just an exciting, fun team to watch.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Colin. I know being in a position of playing in the NBA Finals, then coming back the next year and have to play through a whole regular season, a lot of times you tend to lose your focus. And Phoenix hasn't done that. And a lot of that has to do with Monty Williams, his style of play, and how the message that he preaches to his team each and every day. And that is, we have to do it by committee. And you look at their stats, they got 8 guys that's averaging double figures. And a lot of that it really speaks volumes, because last season you got a guy like Mikal Bridges, who only averaged 13 points, went out and signed a $90 million deal. And that's the message in their locker room. If we do it together and win games, we're all going to get paid, and we're going to get an opportunity to win a championship. And Chris Paul has done a great job leading his team, him and Devin Booker, doing everything they have to do on the perimeter, leading these guys on both ends of the floor. So I like Phoenix, and what they're doing right now is just a matter if they can stay healthy in the playoffs, because we know that they, especially in Chris Paul's career, he's always getting stung with the injury bug, especially late in the season.
So Suns number 1 by a pretty wide margin in the power rankings. They're 3 games ahead of the Warriors, who have won 7 straight. Colin, is Steph finally out of that shooting slump?
Yeah, I know he hopes so. I think the entire Bay Area hopes so. This was not a normal slump. You know, you ask Steve Kerr about it, and I'll say, look, he's the greatest shooter of all time. Steph's going to break out of his slump. It's only a matter of time. But I go to Warriors games. He's missing wide open shots, not even close. Far left, far right, stuff you never see. I watched him during warm-ups before the Brooklyn Nets game. He was missing shots. He missed 2 free throws in a row. He's shaking his head. He's looking into the stands. He's talking to himself. So this was definitely a little bit different than his previous slumps. They did make a slight mechanical tweak. It was reported that he thought he was shooting off his toes a little bit too much. So he's getting more of his legs involved, shooting off the balls of his feet. But look, there's been some signs. You know, he had a 6 for 10 game, a 7 for 14 game, that he's coming out of this slump. And with a guy like Curry, who is just, you know, is so committed to his craft and the intricacies of shooting the basketball, I think it is only a matter of time. But it was a bit alarming to see Steph going through this. I do believe he's coming out of it, and at the perfect time, because the Warriors offense has really struggled, particularly without Draymond Green, who really sets him up for a lot of that. But as Steph Curry being probably the greatest shooter of all time, I wouldn't count on him missing shots like that for very much longer.
He's taking on the Kings tonight. That one is in San Francisco as the Warriors go for their 8th straight. Rip, another Western Conference team is at number 3, and it reflects those standings. It's the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 3 in the power rankings, 3 in the NBA standings. What do you think of the edge that Ja Morant and this team is playing with right now?
Well, it starts with John Morant and the way he plays, his style of play, leading all players in the league with points in the paint. Just this aggressive mentality. Kind of reminds me a lot of a guy I played a lot of wars and battles against, and that's Allen Iverson. And if you watch the Memphis Grizzlies, the makeup is very similar. You got a dynamic point guard that's really aggressive, that puts his body on the line each and every night, willing to take the leadership role. They built great around him, putting guys around him that are tough-minded, defensive-ordinary guys. You hear Dylan Brooks in his press conference months ago talking about Paul George, and we all thought he was crazy when he was saying, hey, you know what, Paul George needs to go at me one-on-one. They're setting legal screens. But that's just the mentality of this group. They come out, they're not afraid, they're not scared. Once they get on the floor, it's that me against the world mentality. It showcased last night when they played against the Lakers, and Bane was chirping with LeBron James out on the floor. And that just lets the people know in the league that we're not scared. We're a team to be reckoned. And they showcase it each and every night. They play for each other. And that's powerful, especially in the NBA when you got a lot of egos and guys worrying about me so much. So this team is a team that we need to watch out for. And we got to keep talking more about Ja Morant in that MVP race because he's playing extraordinary right now.
So fun to watch. They make no apologies for the way they play. They are here to stay and compete. Let's jump to the bottom half of the power rankings now, where we find a team that's been favored to win the NBA championship for most of the season, the Brooklyn Nets, all the way down at 17 now, Colin. You've got them dropping 6 spots. And Rip, they are 1 spot away from play-in game range at this time, in 6th place in the East.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Brooklyn. I mean, when you look at this team, it's made up of their 3 superstars pretty much. When these 3 superstars are on the floor, I don't think there's a team in the NBA can beat them. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, they haven't played together a lot. What about their chemistry? How are they going to perform? They're just going to wake up and just play and just automatically play well together. Yes, especially when you got 3 guys that want to win a championship and you got guys that understand the big picture. Right now, your role players got to be superstars, right? And that's not why they brought these guys to the Brooklyn Nets. So I just think that with this team, yes, they have a little layoff just because of injuries and guys in and out of the lineup. But once the playoffs start, I believe that this is the most scariest team in the NBA. So if you're a number 1 or 2 or 3 seed and this Brooklyn Nets team end up at a 6, 7, or 8, I sure enough wouldn't want to play them.
Their West Coast swing continues in Utah tomorrow, and then they go to Denver to finish up that road trip. Let's hit the Clippers here, Colin. They are at number 18, hanging around 500. Are you encouraged that they're somewhat staying afloat without PG-13 and Kawhi right now?
I mean, it's pretty remarkable, Chris. We don't talk about the Clippers a lot just because they're not that exciting a team without those 2 guys. But what Ty Lue has done out there has been pretty remarkable. I mean, they're starting guys like Amir Coffey and Isaiah Hartenstein is getting a lot of minutes. This is a team that has really gelled together, and you can tell that they play for each other and they play for their coach. They came back from 35 points down against the Wizards. They came back from 25 points down against the Nuggets earlier this season. You don't do that unless your team is connected and you really care about the players next to you. So yes, they've had some great stories. Terrence Mann has stepped up a little bit, as I mentioned, Amir Coffey. But really what they're doing is they're playing defense. You look at their offense, they're 27th in the NBA. The teams around them in the bottom 5 are the Pistons, the Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the worst teams in the league. The Clippers are able to hover around 500 because of that 6th-ranked defense. And they don't have the best defensive personnel on paper, but credit goes to Ty Lue, getting that scheme just locked down, ready to go. And if you can play defense, you can hang in every single game. And the Clippers have really been able to do that and really exceed the expectations, I believe, with guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard out of the lineup. Now, if they are able to return, this is a team that, remember, was probably the NBA title favorite before Leonard got hurt. So if they can come back, they're going to be a dangerous playoff team if they can stay in that play-in range.
And they're a half game ahead of the Lakers right now, those 2 facing each other tonight. Colin, a lot of those words that you used to describe the Clippers, can you use any of that to describe what's going on with the Lakers?
Probably not right now. There is a little bit of hope. Anthony Davis has come back and looked really good since he's come back, averaging 29 points, 11 rebounds, almost 3 blocks a game in his last 3 games. More than that, he's just been aggressive. He's been the guy that everyone wants to see with Anthony Davis. You know, his level of intensity, let's just say, has not been consistent over the course of his career. That's the guy they need, but you look at the Lakers, I think defense, it's kind of hard to imagine them getting to that level where they're a top 5 defense like they have been over the last few years, but there is room for improvement on offense. Obviously, that's contingent on LeBron James coming back strong and healthy from whatever knee issue he's dealing with. You get him on the court, you get Anthony Davis playing at this, fierce MVP style bubble level Anthony Davis. That's a dangerous team. And don't look now, but Russell Westbrook has actually been shooting the ball pretty well over the last couple of weeks. He had a little bit of a clunker in the win over the Blazers, but before that, he's shooting the ball pretty well. So there is hope. I think they're going to have to do it on offense, though, because this personnel just doesn't seem equipped to play the level of defense that they've been accustomed to over the last couple seasons.
It'll be their 5th straight game without LeBron James tonight against the Clippers. And after that one, the Lakers are going to host the Knicks, who are 21st in Colin's power rankings on CBSSports.com. Rip, talked to you a bunch last season in the spring and in the summer. It was so fun to see Madison Square Garden rocking and the Knicks a contender in the Eastern Conference. Are they going to even be able to remain relevant in the East the way they're going right now?
Well, not when you got like teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers playing as well as they've been playing. Teams like that you didn't expect to make a playoff run this season. The Knicks stock is going down. And I want to go back to the bubble. And I talked about this when they were playing the bubble. This was a team that really benefited with not having any fans in the arena. Everybody knows the pressure of playing in New York and how the fans could be 1 minute on your side and the next minute they can boo you. And it really showcased the effect that it had on the players this season, especially Julius Randle. And I think this team right now, teams are starting to figure them out. Tibbs got to do a better job of making the proper adjustments on the offensive end and even on the defensive end. I think teams kind of figure out knowing their offensive sets, knowing where they going at, who they trying to get the ball to, knowing that Julius Randle is always going to try to go left and taking away his strength. So I think they got to do a better job of coaching this ball club. Tibbs is always used to having a steady point guard, a guy that can really control the offense. And now you see different guys in and out of the lineup. Kemba Walker's playing 1 minute, he's not playing another. Derrick Rose been out with injury. So I just think this is a situation that they got to figure out who they are. Teams are starting to catch up in understanding their identity, know that they're going to play hard on the defensive end, but can they score enough? So I just think this is a situation that they have to make the proper adjustments, and right now they haven't.
That's the champ, Rip Hamilton, with us here on CBS Sports HQ with Colin Ward-Henninger, who's put together the latest power rankings. You can check out the full list on CBSSports.com. And here are the games tonight. You got the Suns going for 12 straight 4.5-point favorites at the Hawks. Warriors minus 13.5 at home against the Kings.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.